Hey everybody, and welcome to The Void, a show dedicated to filling the void between being an employee and becoming self-employed. Most people refer to starting your own company as taking the leap, as if they are blindly jumping off a cliff and into the unknown. This show is here to help you understand that it doesn't have to be that way. I'll share with you the process I used for starting my company, and you too can be on your way to starting your very own service-based company. We'll work through some common issues that are preventing you from starting your own company and fulfilling your own true potential. As always, if you like what you're hearing on the show, please do us a favor and help share The Void with somebody else who might be wanting to start their own company. We saw an opportunity to help others understand that self-employment is very much within your reach. And just as our businesses have grown organically and by word of mouth, we want this show to grow the exact same way. This takes two things for that to happen. One is we have to put out some great content. The other is you have to help share our valuable message. We know that many of you out there are on different social media groups for your various trades, skills, and crafts. Facebook groups, for example, are begging for this kind of info virtually every day. So if you see somebody asking questions about starting their own service-based company, please do us a favor and drop a link to the show. I'm your host, Mitch Smedley, and with me as always is David Hilton.
Mitch.
Dave.
What's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
I am so excited that this is the last of the core episodes.
I know.
And I don't mean it like we're done.
Nope.
But I mean it like we're moving on to something else, which is what other people should be excited about with their businesses.
Yeah.
Once you've reached a small goal, you're going to keep on moving, And Marcus, he's the one that has said whether I can be on the show or not. And he so far has said he can keep being on it.
Right.
We had a big, long talk earlier. We're good. He says, yeah, maybe a few more.
Maybe a few
more.
So,
I want to say thanks.
How's it going, guys?
Marcus, my main man.
How's it going?
We got Marcus behind the microphones, behind the cameras. He's a voice that's often heard but never seen.
I love
and you guys are welcome for that.
I love it.
You guys are waking me up from my nap, man.
People see the 9 episodes. 9's a small number. You know what? For us, it's been a lot of growth.
Well, and
a lot of work, a lot of prep, a lot of bonding. I want to say.
Yeah.
And it's been. I'm happy to be a part of it.
And with the format of the show, it's kind of weird, but after the 9 episodes, this is where things get started. We had all of this information that we had to get out there to give you the tools that you need, kind of the course overview, so to speak.
Right.
Finally, we're at the point where this show is really going to start to get a lot of fun because now we get really interactive with our listeners.
Yeah.
And
we learn about their stories, their what they had to overcome, and it's not just going to be learning and preaching, certain things. We're going to be learning stuff too. Hey, wow, I had no idea that X, was a problem.
Right.
Because they were in a different industry than we have been in.
Yeah.
So, I'm super stoked about it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So at the end of this episode, we're going to be giving you guys an email address where you can email in questions.
Right, I forgot.
Yeah. And so you'll be able to email in questions that you have after listening to the 9 episodes if you still have questions about how to start your company or struggles that you're having with your newer company. And we're going to do our best to help you work through those. So the other cool thing that happens after these core 9 episodes is we're going to get to a point where we're bringing on guests. And these guests are going to be people that have started their own businesses. And we'll be able to talk with them face-to-face about interactions that they had, struggles that they encountered in their first years of business.
Things we would have never thought of.
Also, we're going to talk about things that they recognize that they did well and they're glad they did. And so,
which is basically the basis of this episode for us.
Right.
And I mean, we're going to go over there. Normally I read the preparation steps and the beginning steps. I'm going to make Mitch do it today.
Yeah.
But so before we get, too far on, let's rehash. Yeah. And I'm going to ask Mitch, what are the preparation steps? What are the beginning steps, and what episodes have those been in?
Yeah, so in previous episodes, we've discussed our 6 steps needed for success when you're starting your business. We broke those 6 steps into 2 groups. One is the preparation steps. These are steps that you need to be actively doing before you start your business. The next group is the beginning steps, and these are steps that you've read about and you know about before you're starting your business, but you're not actively working on them until after you've started your business. And so the first step is personal finance preparation, and we covered that in episodes 1 and 2. Really more episode 2 than 1.
Yes. And episode 1 was really, it was a recap. It was like a preparation on the preparation.
Yeah.
But there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah. Episode 1 was kind of outlining the outline for the show, but also making sure that you had the right vision for your company.
Yeah, the why you're going to do it.
Yeah. Step number 2 was business finance preparation, and that was found in episode 3. Step number 3 is systems preparation, and this consumed episodes 4, 5, and 6.
And if you're going to go back and listen to them, and you're not sure exactly, I went back and listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
So 4, 5, and 6. I listened to 4 and 5 twice each because there's a lot of info in there, and I wanted to make sure that it came across as I shouldn't say came across. I wanted to make sure that information was out there, and it is in those steps.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need to listen to it twice, it's kind of like when you read a book and you're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
It
doesn't
when take a lot of time to just, re-listen.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't talk about this in pre-prep, but, there's a lot of really good information in episodes 4, 5, and 6.
It's like watching a movie where the second time you watch it, you catch things that you didn't notice the first time.
Exactly.
So, and that's why we're doing this in podcast form, is so you can go back and re-listen. So
yeah.
So the other 3 steps are the beginning steps. You're working on these after all your preparation steps are complete. So step 4 is community involvement work, and that was covered in episode 7, and we summarized that also with a hashtag of find the need, fill the void. And so as you are getting your business rolling and you're sharing about some of the community involvement work you're doing, feel free to use that hashtag, find the need, fill the void. That hashtag has 2 facets to it. One, anybody who's never listened to this podcast will understand what that means. It means that you are actively seeking out a need in your community, and you're taking care of that need. Anybody who has listened to this podcast will also know exactly what that means. They'll know that you are a listener of this episode.
I love that episode.
Yeah.
That's probably been my favorite. And I'm not sure why. It wasn't that there was just a ton of blind information in it. It was very real about how you can, when a business is a part of a community, it's something more than a business.
Yeah.
And that sounds so cliche and stupid to say, but that's really what it is. You're getting free advertisement. You're becoming ingrained in the community, and when you're ingrained in the community, you're not just making money, making a profit, but you're part of something greater than yourself. And I loved it.
The cool part about it is your business name just becomes automatic with the customers. It really does. If somebody is identifying that somebody in the community needs your services, and they're in that community involvement need where they're needing kind of the charitable work, it's just automatic to go to your business.
If you were coming into this episode and you don't know what Mitch means by charity, listen to that episode and it'll make sense.
Right.
Because we're talking about not just community service and not just being part of the community, but we're talking about giving back to your community. And when you give back to your community, you're something greater than yourself, and people see that, and it's very important. And you need to, like I said, that was my favorite episode, and you really need to go back and listen to that.
Yep. Episode number 8 covers step number 5, and that is wake up, do work, and repeat. And
gotta get it.
It seems silly that we would have to talk about it, but
Don't
a lot of
silly.
people.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
it seems stupid, but you have got to do it.
A lot of people get to that point where their business is kind of off the ground and running, and they think they can coast, and they really can't. Like, that's the time to really crank it out and drive home to your community, and also drive home to yourself that we're in this for the long haul, and we're ready to.
If you've been doing it for 15 years, okay, yeah. If you want to coast a couple days, you've earned it.
Right.
We're talking about year 1.
Right.
Get off your ass.
Right.
Do it.
So episode number 9 is today's show, and that is going to cover the final beginning step, and that is evaluating your performance, making adjustments, and improving.
Yeah. So
on today's show, we're going to talk about that final area of adversity that you'll need to overcome. And this is an adversity where people struggle, right? They start a business, and it's not going in the direction that they want, but they don't even know where to begin on how to get it course corrected and back on target. They may not even know what target is.
It's hard for people to take criticism. And when we say criticism, that doesn't mean, when a lot of people hear criticism and they think he's talking down on me. No, that's not what criticism is.
No.
And I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone is telling you you're a jackass.
Yeah.
But if you can't take those things and apply them to your business or your life situation, this isn't just a business thing. If you can't apply those to how you're acting or how you're running a business, you might be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Like any sports team or anything that is measured in statistics, they're constantly reevaluating ways that they can improve their performance.
Yeah.
You take a football player, for example, and he's saying, well, if I start with a 3-step drop, I can hit that passer at this point. Well, if I start with a 5-step drop, well, now that receiver is farther down the
He's
field,
10 more yards down. Maybe
and
he
so
cuts
the ball's going to be in flight a little bit longer. So criticism is not a bad thing. Criticism is the ability to stand on the outside for a second and look at how can I improve this.
Yeah, he's your coach saying, hey, dude, when you do that, you're early.
Yep.
When you get to that 5th step, you need to take a hitch.
So
you need to stay instead of planting and throwing, maybe you need to plant and pivot your hips just a little bit to make that throw on time.
Right.
Or the receiver maybe needs to take another half yard because the quarterback can't he just can't do it based on the line progression.
Yeah.
And you have to and when we say, course correction, that's not just you. That's your employees as well.
If you have employees.
Say you're the quarterback. Yeah, if you have employees. Say you're the whether you're the quarterback and one of your guys is the receiver, or you're both. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're both, you still need to be like, okay, that receiver needs to be a half yard. I need to be better with my employee or my customers.
Right.
You have to be able to accept that evaluation from yourself and from other people if you want to get better.
Well, and if you're self-employed and you're the only employee for the first few years, you're also your own coach.
Yeah.
You have to be able to identify some of that stuff for yourself. And so that's what this episode is dedicated to, is giving you a few key areas to identify where your performance is and do you need to improve or not.
And listen, I'm gonna just a little tangent there. So we've said it before, I was on my own. I had no employees, I had no manager, I had no nothing, and I'm winging it. But I asked other guys that were in my business, hey, dude, what did you do in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
And was I asking for evaluation? No. But if they said, hey, I did this in that situation over here, and I was doing this over here, I had to say, why was I doing this? Mm-hmm. Why was he doing that? Would it be better for me to maybe meet in the middle of those two things? That's what we mean by self-evaluation.
Yeah.
And getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's swallowing your pride and just doing what it takes to improve.
Yeah. And sometimes, and listen, not sometimes, a lot of times you have to swallow that pride and say, oh man, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I've got to get better at this.
Yep.
And if you can't do that, this may not be for you.
Yeah, it's the brutally honest truth.
It is.
So
and
you got to learn how to be your own coach.
Yeah, and sometimes you will drive that ship into the ground by yourself, and it may be a hard lesson to learn.
Yep. So the final beginning step, evaluate performance, make adjustments, and improve. let's look at some ways to recognize poor performance and some things that you can do to improve poor performance. There are many ways that you will perform poorly in your first 6 months.
More than you think.
There are a lot, right? Some are more dangerous than others, and so if your business is if your business is busy and you're running short on time, it's important that you know the areas that you can afford to let slide momentarily, but also you know the areas where you have to stay strong in.
And those are judgment calls.
And
those are really judgment calls.
They're judgment calls. We're going to cover them here.
Yeah.
The key word there, though, is letting them slide momentarily, because you don't want to let them slide too long.
No, you want to stay on the train track.
Yeah, everything that we've worked on to this point is important. However, there are really 3 key areas where you're going to want to be measuring your real performance. Any of these items that you have in place on your tracking spreadsheets are of great value. That's why you put them there. So let's look at some areas that you're likely to do poorly from time to time, and we'll put some things in place for how to correct them. Before we can understand poor performance, we need to understand how to tell the difference between poor performance and good performance. This is where some of your goals come into play. Goals are benchmarks for success. Goals are what determined if you have performed well or performed poorly. So once a goal is set, anything under that goal is considered poor performance. Anything above that goal is considered good performance, right? This isn't new. It's really that simple. But we need to remember that none of this is personal either. The Millionaire Mindset requires that you remove all of your emotion from your decisions. This is just understanding when to celebrate or when to work harder. You'll soon learn to embrace poor performance. The proper response for poor performance is you get an opportunity to improve yourself. So you're the only one that can fix your poor performance. And so whenever I recognize I'm performing poorly in an area, there's a humbling gut check moment initially. There's a moment where my emotions are rising up and I have to push them down. But ultimately, it's the same resolution every time. I get an opportunity to come out of this stronger.
And you don't, what in layman's terms, don't dwell on the fact that you made a mistake.
No.
Don't dwell on the fact that things aren't going well. This is kind of like you're still at your job and you're wanting to leave, but you hate it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You hate the fact that you made the mistake, but take that as an opportunity to improve yourself, to improve your knowledge base, your wisdom's base, and say, hey, now I've learned something. I know that I can't do it that way, and I'm gonna put it behind me. I'm gonna move on from that decision.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've watched countless people try to blame poor performance on a bad customer, bad timing, bad weather, bad tools, bad equipment, or any other excuse they can come up with.
Heard a lot of those, man.
Yeah. Meanwhile, other technicians are breaking records running those same service calls, dealing with those same customers at the same time in the same weather, using the same tools. They're working on the same equipment. The only difference is the mindset of the individual.
And that's that millionaire mindset.
It is.
That's taking, and like we've talked about before, millionaire mindset is taking hold of your situation, taking responsibility of your situation, okay? Because the only person that can change your situation is you.
Yep.
And that is the millionaire mindset that we've talked about 1,000 times, and we're going to keep beating into you guys over and over again.
People that blame outside factors for failure will always fail. They fail because they refuse to admit that the only part of the problem that they can control is themselves, and they refuse to correct that. People that recognize outside factors and create strategy to overcome them are usually the people that succeed.
And can I jump in there? When you're able to do that, when you're able to step outside of yourself, I know it's a double, it's a huge benefit to you. And people think that when I do this, I'm not being true to myself. No.
Right.
you're being extremely true to yourself, and you're being honest with yourself, and you've come to a breaking point where you can advance and improve, and it's a huge thing. A lot of us don't learn that until we're older.
Yeah.
And but I'm not saying if you're 23 and you're listening to this, man, woman, whatever, you can't learn that now by having someone else. I don't want to say we're teaching people, but guiding you in that direction. You can do it.
Yeah.
Take a step back, realize what's happening, and say, what should I do?
Yeah.
And if you can continue to do that, you'll be successful whether you start a company, whether you work for someone, no matter what you do in your family life. That's a family life moment too.
Yep.
Hey, I yelled at my kid today. Man, I shouldn't have.
Right.
I made a mistake. That translates into everything if you can do that.
Yeah, and a poor parent would say, well, I wouldn't have had to yell at him if he didn't do this.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly. Maybe, you know what, maybe your child, maybe they did do something wrong, but maybe the best action for them to correct their behavior is you not yelling at them and that's part of your correction. I know that's really deep right there, but
removing your emotion from the situation, standing back and offering criticism to yourself before you criticize your child.
And then saying, hey, I'm sorry.
Right.
Let's move on here. I want all of us to be better.
Right. Let's take a look at some realistic goals that you should have for your company and for your performance. And then we're also going to look at some BHAG goals. BHAG. Dave was laughing.
Mitch wrote this earlier.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I was like, do you mean BHAG? Do you mean BHAG? What?
Yeah.
What are you fucking talking about?
Dude? So
I'm going to make him explain to you like I made him explain to me.
This is how I operate, right? So a realistic goal is one that should happen if everything goes as planned. A BHAG goal, BHAG, B-H-A-G, big hairy ass goal, is one that takes.
Marcus, I thought you were producing this show. I don't know what the fuck I was supposed to do with BHAG. We talked about this half an hour ago, and it's still eating on me a little bit.
Hey,
that's Mitch, dude. That's all Mitch. BHAG.
I'll say this: I have achieved quite a few BHAG goals in our first 18 months of business. So,
sometimes you got to have fun, and when Mitch puts some really crazy, stupid shit in here, sometimes I get it out. Sometimes it stays in. Other times we let him roll with what he wants to roll with. I like it. I think it's funny.
I said all that, and all you heard was hairy ass.
Yes, all I heard, and I had nightmares when I was 19.
All right, so
that's another story for another day.
A BHAG goal is a goal that takes significant effort and preparation to achieve. So when I invested $30,000 into our company to get things started, I set a realistic goal to get everything paid off within 5 or 6 months. I also set a BHAG goal to get everything paid off in 3 months. I had run the numbers, and if everything went as planned, we should have had enough to completely repay the business debt to myself in 5 to 6 months. I also figured that if we had enough calls, and if I had enough energy to run them, and if I performed well on those calls, then we had the possibility of paying off our startup costs in 3 months. So this became my first BHAG goal. So when you're setting goals, when you're setting goals, make sure to set 2. Look at the realistic goal, like what should happen, but then also look at the BHAG goal, or whatever you want to call it, of something that is significant, and if all things line up, we could end up here. Now,
and listen, I want to say something. So I didn't have, when I started my business, I didn't have something like this. I didn't call it something, but it was ingrained in me.
Yeah.
Like, I had my minimum goal. I actually had 3. So I had my minimum goal, my what I thought the average goal should be, and then I had, oh shit, we've made this money. Now, and I had a plan for each. If I underperformed, and this is one of those, this really is in the episode of, what do I do? What do I evaluate? How do I get better if I got to there? My average was obviously my plan, but then I had a plan for, if I went above and beyond that, what was I going to do with that money?
Right.
Was I going to invest it back in the company? Was I going to take trips with my wife? The answer was not trips with my wife. It was invest it back into the company.
Right.
But, there's nothing wrong with having plans and contingencies for every situation. And, a lot of people get into the analysis by paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking on...
said that backwards. Paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mitch knew what I was saying.
Yep.
That's not really... I mean, that's a thing in sports, but that's not a thing in business, I don't think.
No, it's a thing in business, and that's probably one of the key factors of why we started this show, is because people will analyze things till they're blue in the face and never start their business. And so...
Or not enough.
Right.
Or not enough. They're
right.
probably an extreme of either. And I just had 3. Mitch had 2 here. I just had 3.
Mm-hmm.
I had below what I thought, and then the dream scenario.
Yeah,
and that's okay. You can break down where you think you should be in each one of those categories.
And ultimately, I have 3 too. We just have 2 different ways to look at it. I had 2, right? I had my standard goal and then my BHAG goal. My third option, you said below where you thought and you're big, right? So anything under my standard goal was my below.
And we talk about that later in this episode.
Yep.
We talk about, hey, we're not getting enough calls. Hey, we're not making enough sales. And that's kind of why I brought that up there. We're going to get into that and give you knowledge to help you make the right decisions in those scenarios.
Yeah. So before we get into those, I want to talk real quick about goals. There's a lot of people who set goals which are really dreams. And they're really like lofty aspirations, but they have no bearing and no context and no realistic plan to get there, right? You'll see people like, oh, I want to go to Tahiti one day, and they're making $12 an hour flipping burgers at McDonald's, and they ain't changing anything to make it to Tahiti.
You know what? And that's a great example. So say they are working there, but say that person is setting aside $5 a day.
Totally different.
They have a plan.
Right.
And that's what Mitch means.
Right.
If you are going to do that, and this gets back to the planning and preparation, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're working at McDonald's making $15 an hour, whether you're a CEO at a company making $130, you have to have a plan and be prepared no matter what.
Right.
And that gets back to the mindset and the self-evaluation. Where am I at? I need to step back and look, where am I? What can I do?
Yeah. So like what I'm really driving home is my goals were based off of realistic scenarios. They weren't pipe dreams. They were, okay, I can physically run this many service calls a day. I know I can run an average sale of this. I know I can close and convert those calls at this percentage. And so I could build realistic numbers. The couple of things that I can't control directly is I can't guarantee you how many times the phone's going to ring today, right? So I kind of had my base goal of how many times I thought it would ring. But then if things get really busy, well, then we might be able to stretch up to this goal here. And so goals are realistic expectations.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of
progressive goals is okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot because they set a goal out there that's unrealistic or unattainable, and then when you constantly do that, you've set a pattern of never achieving your goals, and that can make you that can actually make you depressed. It can make you like physically ill. Yeah. So that's why I like the goal that should the realistic goal that should happen. I don't want to say automatically, but like when you put in the work and do everything else, like here's the one that should happen. That sets a pattern of I achieved that goal. Even though it's a base standard of benchmark performance, you're still in a habit of, okay, I achieved that goal. Now let's work to the next. I achieved that one.
And that's mindset.
Right.
You're trying to, and listen, if you've been working construction for 10 years, you haven't thought about all those things. You need to think about those things.
Yeah.
That's how successful people think.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I say think, I don't mean their brain power is just making that happen. No, they've learned those things.
Yeah.
And you have to make yourself think that way.
Yeah.
To get to those goals.
Yeah. So the number one most important goal is your monthly revenue goal. Revenue is required for the business to function. So your revenue goal should be built from the metrics that you've set for yourself, and we talk about those in previous episodes. So I'll walk with you through how I set my revenue goal so you can do the same. My business was an in-home service business, but these numbers should play fairly well through any of these. So we'll use some generic numbers here just to keep things really simple. These aren't the numbers I used for my business. Full transparency, the numbers I used were much higher than these, but these numbers are base round numbers that are easy to work with. So we've talked about before, your billable hour is a number that you want to be charging per hour, right? So let's just say if your billable hour is $100 an hour, then your average sale should be 2 times your billable hour. So your average sale should be $200 an hour. If you plan to run 4 service calls a day, again, in-home service business related, if you plan to run 4 service calls a day and you plan to work 5 days a week, then you should be running 20 service calls a week. Okay? Your conversion rate in an in-home service business industry should be 80%. So that's the number of sales you make versus the number of calls you run. So if we're running 20 calls a week at an 80% conversion rate, that comes out to making a sale on 16 of those calls. You take those 16 sold calls and multiply it by your $200 average sale, and that develops your revenue goal of $3,200 per week, or $640 per business day. That's a lot of numbers, so if you need to go back and hit rewind a couple of times and listen to that, feel free.
I have a question.
Yep.
So those numbers were based on you working by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Those were Mitch's numbers when he started.
Mm-hmm.
Or no?
The billable hour was greatly different, but I'm just going to use that as a benchmark.
As a percentage of what that is.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So, also, I was starting out with a company of 1. And so, like myself, I was the one running all those plumbing calls. And so I knew I could run 4 calls a day for an average of 4 calls a day, 5 days a week. Some days I might run 6 calls. Some days I might run 1.
Can I ask you what your actual billable hour was?
I'd rather not disclose that because that's kind of a market-based thing, and that all kind of depends on each individual business.
Okay.
But so for instance,
I like to pry numbers from Mitch just for fun because he does a lot of prep work and then doesn't put a lot of things in.
Yeah.
But it brings me joy to see a little pain
to try to put me on the spot.
Yeah, I like putting him on the spot. Just that's part of the show. A little bit of fun in there.
Let's just say that
I don't get paid for this, so I have to get my joy somewhere. And that's where I get it.
Right.
Plumbing service companies that are using flat rate pricing are typically going to be anywhere from $200 to $700 per billable hour.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of what drives that is your market.
Yeah. Now, when he says market, he means we're at 200. If you're in California, 500. 700. That's what he means by market.
You could be in Beverly Hills and be 700.
Yeah, that's what he means.
You could be in the Midwest and be 200. You could be on the coastline somewhere and be 500. It just kind of depends.
Yeah, and when he says, by us, it's 150 to 200. He doesn't mean, hey, come here because it's cheaper. Stay on the East Coast if that's where you're at.
Well,
we don't want you here.
Cost of living is a lot of what drives that billable hour, right?
Of course.
So if cost of living is insanely high where you're at, then you're probably going to have a higher billable hour. So,
and that's economics 101.
Yeah. Remember that I lump Saturdays in with Fridays and I lump Sundays in with Mondays. And so if you're working on a 7-day week, anything you run on Saturday is kind of like a bonus for Friday.
Yeah.
And anything you run on Sunday is kind of like a bonus for Monday. So,
but that keeps your weekly averages true.
Yeah,
is how that works,
and it gets you back to a 5-day work week. Yeah. So,
and when he says that, when you do your math and everything, you want to do it on a 5-day work week. Okay, most of your guys are going to be on a 5-day work week.
Right.
You're going to try to be on a 5-day work week, even though you're on your own and you may be Saturdays.
Yeah. So
it's easier to translate numbers to a 5-day work week because like your vendors are on 5. The math just works out.
Well, and ultimately too, like as you grow your business, let's say you start working 7 days a week. You're going to have a guy that works Sunday through Thursday.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a guy that works Tuesday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they're each working 5 days.
Yeah.
So
that's why you want to stay on that 5-day average.
That also means that you're slightly short-staffed on Monday because you've got a guy working Tuesday through Saturday.
Exactly.
And that means you're slightly short-staffed on Friday. Because you've got a guy working
think about that for a second.
Sunday
Friday,
through Thursday.
Yeah, Friday.
So that's where you kind of blend those in.
And you know what? That's don't think that you're against the grain.
No.
Because that's what a lot of companies do.
Yeah.
And that helps you. Everyone thinks, "Oh, I'm short staff on Monday. Oh, I'm short staff on Friday." Yeah, but that means you have someone there to help people.
You got coverage
Saturday,
on the weekends, right?
And that means you have someone to help people on Sundays.
Yeah.
When you hope that the phone's not ringing off the hook on those days.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have your outliers of cold. If you're a plumber, cold snap on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Or heating cooling guy, cold snap on a Saturday. I guess more realistic.
Right.
Something like that.
So those numbers that we just gave you, those are some baseline numbers, but you can fill in your own billable hour, and once you know your billable hour, then you can fill in your own average sale numbers. Just remember that one number you can't really play with too much is your conversion. If you're doing an in-home service-based business, your conversion needs to be at about 80%.
Yeah, it does. And if you're 5% one way or the other,
I mean. Nobody's going to frown on you at 75.
It's okay, but you need to, your goal, your arrow, your dart needs to be pointed at that 80%.
Yep. So
and you're going to fluctuate.
You're going to. I've never landed a month exactly on 80.
Yeah.
Some days I'm a little less. Some months I'm a little more.
That's your goal.
Yep.
When we say that.
Yep. So remember that some months have 20 working days in them and some months have as many as 23. You're going to have 3 or 4 months a year that have 23 working days in them. You're going to have a couple of months a year that have 20. So it just kind of depends. So as you're building your budgets, you need to build it off the number of working days in the month. You can't just blindly set a budget of $30,000 a month in revenue for every month.
Yeah.
Because $30,000 a month is hard to hit on a 20-day month, where it's easy to hit on a 23-day month because you have more days in the month, right? So now that we have our revenue goal set, let's look at some things that we can do if revenue is falling short. So we need to identify where that problem lies. Again, the key goal is revenue. So we need to look at some things that may cause revenue to drop. We know the math that just went into them, right? Number of opportunities, number of calls ran, average sale. So are we selling enough calls to hit the goal? Are we running enough calls to sell enough calls?
Are you getting enough calls?
Are we hitting our average sale goals? You can usually find that if you're falling short on revenue, it might be a combination of 2 or 3 of those. The most important one of those is the number of calls you've run. You will likely never hit this goal unless you're running enough calls. So if you're running enough calls, then you need to make sure that you're converting those calls at a sale or a conversion rate of 80%. And then finally, if you're converting those calls at 80%, you need to make sure that you're hitting your goal of an average sale of 2.5 times your 2 times your billable hour.
Yeah. 2x.
Or whatever you've set your average sale goal
if it's
to.
1.8, if it's 2.2, whatever it is.
Again, you're going to be a little fluid with those.
And we use the 2x as for our style of business. What we do. 2x works.
Right.
2x works along. From 2x works from 15% to 90%.
Yeah.
That really fills the gap.
And so the nice part about just focusing on these 3 areas is it allows you to fall short on 1 or even 2 of the areas and still achieve your overall goal. So for instance, if your conversion is running a little behind, maybe you're converting at 70% or 65%, you can make up for that by having a higher average ticket or just running more service calls. The same idea works if you're falling short on any of the other areas. Just drive the remaining 2 areas up. So I've managed people in the past who consistently fell short on one or more areas, but they made up for it in the other areas, and so they always managed to hit their goal. I've always been the type of person who plays to another person's strengths. So I would praise them for hitting the overall goal and praise them for dominating the target area that they dominated in, and I wouldn't really mention much about the others. So if I have a guy that's converting just a little bit low, but he's killing it on his average sale, and he's killing it on the number of calls he ran, I'm not going to harp on him. It's no different than my kids' grade cards, right? Yeah. If my kid gets all A's and a B, a lot of parents will be like, oh, what are you going to do to get that B to an A?
Hey, dude,
I'm the other way.
Nice
I'm like,
job,
dude,
buddy.
You got like 6 A's. That's friggin' awesome, right?
And Mitch is saying, when it comes to employees, but he's also saying if you're on your own.
If you're on your own, it's how you manage yourself.
Yeah, it's how you manage yourself, and you're getting to, this is the evaluate your performance.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on your own, evaluate performance, but don't kick yourself in the ass.
No.
If you got 2 A's and a C,
yeah,
say, hey man, I'm doing these 2 things really well. Where can I improve on this C? And if you can't, and it's not a strong suit, it's okay.
Right. If you can't improve on this,
don't kill yourself over it.
Right. If you can't improve on the C, then just double down on one of the A's, and you'll usually be okay.
Yeah.
So. One of the biggest fears that people have.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the biggest fears that people have when they're starting their company is making sure they're going to get enough work, right? So if you're a home service-based business, that's usually going to be a phone ringing enough or enough leads coming in, enough opportunities coming in.
Yeah, enough walk-ins if you're a hair cutter.
So let's look at what to do if we aren't getting enough calls. Obviously, things may start a little slow if you're new, like brand new first few months into business, but you should still be able to scrape up enough calls to meet your budget in your first month. Most people who fail at their business will fail right here. They just arrived to this point, and then they just hoped the phone would ring. Ultimately, businesses don't run on hope. They run on preparation and proper planning. If you would, you'd want to brainstorm this area deeply before you open your business. You want to generate as many possible ideas as you can to come up with how to make the phone ring. You want to write every single one of them down, and you want to rank them as most important and most likely to produce the most amount of calls. And so advertisement, I think if I advertise, I'm going to get X amount of calls. If I do door hangers, I'm going to get X amount of calls. If I do word of mouth and just tell all my friends, I'm going to get X amount of calls. Right.
You need to have a plan when you start, so that you don't want to start and then be like, you don't want to put it out in the paper and be like, oh, no one's calling me.
Right. I hope the phone rings, and then that was all I had.
That's not going to work. It doesn't work. You need to do those things. Say before you start your company, you make a list of 10 things. Pick 4 of those and do them before you start.
Yeah, or the day you start.
Yeah, or the day you start. Yeah, and then so you've done those things day 1, and then day 5 comes around. Those things start paying off. Right.
You want to be ready to be committed all day long, especially if you're running short on service calls. My goal was to run 15 service calls per week. If I was short of that, or I was short of that goal in the first weeks of business, this didn't mean I just went home and waited for the phone to ring. It meant that I went to my list of things I would do to generate calls, and I started knocking out items on that list. I canvassed neighborhoods and hung door hangers. I handed out business cards to local business owners. One of the things that I did was I went to all the local businesses in my city, and I asked for donations of gift cards to their business. Could be restaurants, barbershops, tanning salons, like you name it. Any business in the neighborhood, I asked them to donate me a gift card to their business. And then I compiled all of those gift cards into a gift basket, and I raffled it off on one of our local community social media pages. And I didn't raffle it off for money. I just said, hey, everybody who goes to our Facebook page and likes our Facebook page gets entered into a drawing to get this gift basket of local gift cards.
That's advertisement.
Right.
It's
right.
Free advertisement.
And it cost me nothing but time, and when you're early in business, you've got some time.
It didn't cost you anything except for your time.
Right.
You just had to dedicate yourself. I'm going to do this. We're going to do it. This is what and get it done.
And as we've said before, successful people want to see other people successful. So when other businesses in town hear of you starting your business, they're more than willing to help. And they're getting a little bit of advertising too because you're giving them a gift card.
And if you give away a $20 gift card, this is another business 101 thing.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to come in and spend $24.
Yeah.
Now listen, $4 doesn't sound like a lot, but if you get $4 and
earned a customer,
it was worth
right
the $20 that you donated.
Yeah. So I spent every waking minute of my day putting action to my previously written ideas. I had more ideas that I never even needed to use. So you'll want to do the same. You'll want to have such a big bank of ideas that you shouldn't have to go down that whole list. You'll want to create a bottomless barrel of ideas that you can use to generate work.
And you should keep on that. You just said that, but you should keep on that no matter what.
Yeah.
If you're in your office and you have a whiteboard up that says, business ideas, if your employees come in and write on it, hey, dude, I thought of this.
Right.
And add it to the list.
Constantly using it.
Just be constantly improving. And that is, I've said this 3 times, I think, this episode. That's the point of this episode.
Yeah.
You're constantly evaluating and improving your work performance.
Yep. Generating work is the most important thing that you'll do in your first weeks and first months of business. So get used to being a hunter of work and get creative with different techniques. The next area that we'll talk about is, are you converting enough calls? So let's say the phone's ringing enough, but maybe you're not converting enough calls.
Not making enough sales is what he's saying in layman's terms.
Yeah. So let's say you're in the in-home services business again, and one surefire way to help make sure that you're able to achieve that 80% conversion is to charge a service charge just to come out to somebody's home. Service charges vet the customer and earn a minimum level of commitment with that customer before you even arrive. I see people fail at their newly founded companies all the time because they offer free estimates for service type work. When this happens, the customer has no reason to value your visit or move forward with your suggestions. They aren't out anything if they just tell you, I'll think it over or I'll get back to you. So if that same customer has paid a service charge of $59 or $69 or $89 or whatever the case may be for you to show up to their home, then the odds of them deciding to proceed with your recommendations increase by a power of 4. And I've done the math. I've worked where we didn't charge service charges and we changed nothing else, and our conversion was 20%. And then all we did was start charging service charges, and our conversion goes to 80%. Service charges do a really good job in the in-home services industry of vetting your customers. We have numerous customers every day that call us only to get turned off by the fact that we charge a service charge, and they decided not to book a service call with us. We are perfectly okay with that. That was most likely a customer that would have wanted to think it over or get a second opinion, and they would have been most likely on a completely different planet as far as what they thought the work was worth. So never offer free service calls for any job that requires a diagnostic level of service work.
And now I'm going to say, when I started out, there was always a service charge. Now, I never charged for I always gave free consultations, but that was only if they knew what they wanted.
Yeah, so
you know what I mean? If it was a sales call, like, okay, say someone called and said, I want a new heating and cooling system.
Yep.
That was a free call.
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't, when I got there, I wasn't on my hands and knees diagnosing a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, that worked.
Yeah.
It always worked.
Same for us too. So the key there is diagnostic work versus estimates for larger projects.
Yeah.
And so
I could feel a question coming right there.
Yeah. So like if a customer calls us and says our water heater's not working, That's a service charge call.
Yeah.
Now, if they call us up and say, hey, our water heater's working fine, but it's really old and I'm getting some estimates on getting a new one.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a sales call.
We might do a free estimate for that one.
Yeah.
So,
and mine was heating, cooling. So it was usually, hey, I had someone come out and my compressor's dead.
Yeah.
And they think I should get a new unit. I went out there and didn't charge them anything. Now, does that mean I didn't ohm out that compressor and see if that was actually what was happening?
Right.
No, I did my due diligence, but I gave them that free of charge. And, there's just kind of a little...
There's a
no
balance.
Rhyme or reason sometimes, which way you want to go.
Yep.
But usually if it was and I hate to say this, when you pay for sales lead generators and stuff, you're paying for that. I was paying for those sales leads by checking that out on the side.
Yeah.
Say, hey, and now listen, if I checked that compressor and I thought, and this happened to me more than a few times, they were just trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
And I did my due diligence and I checked it and I didn't charge them for it, but I said, hey, your cap's out. Capacitor, sorry.
Yep.
Your capacitor's out, and that guy, I don't know if he just didn't check it. In my brain, I wanted to say he's a fucking retard.
Right.
But, I got a customer for life.
Right. So there's a lot of times, so we'll often lead with a service charge no matter what the call is. And we found...
And then roll it back.
Well, so some customers would say, well, I was hoping to get like a free estimate since I'm wanting to replace my water heater, or whatever the case may be. Well, then we will very quickly back off and we might say, okay, yeah, we can totally do a free estimate for that. I thought your water heater wasn't working. And they say, no, it's working fine. I just want an estimate.
Yeah. And
okay.
but then you don't have to dive into it either.
It gives us an indication as to the level of commitment from the customer as well. Right. So, so if the customer pushes back and mentions how they were expecting a free estimate, we know that now we have to bring our A game. So we actually note the service call a little bit different and say, okay, this is actually more of a sales call. So we want to make sure we approach this more of a sales side of things instead, not a diagnostic side of things.
And that tells you that your customer's not an idiot.
Yeah.
They're smart and they know what they want.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get, they're not trying to play you.
No.
But
the service charge gives you an opportunity to learn a lot about them.
Yes.
Is what it is.
And
so
and this is it's not complicated, but as far as a sales situation, it's a little complicated. But, as you go through, those are things that you want to have happen to you because it teaches you what to do in those situations.
Yep. One of the other areas where you could be falling short on your metrics is your average sale. And so as we mentioned earlier, in-home service businesses, your average sale should be 2 times your billable hour. The goal, this goal is key to you hitting your monthly goals. And so a low average ticket means you're spending a lot of resources for very little reward. The science behind your average ticket goal is based off of what it's worth for you to drive out to a customer's home and spend a portion of your precious day. You're not doing this out of the goodness of your heart, and so you need to be rewarded for that. I have found 2 very easy ways to maintain an average ticket that meets your goals. One is to make sure you're offering the customer several options for repair, and you need to offer this to every single customer. The other is to always offer a high price, high value option to every single customer. So we might have several options, but then every customer, we also offer them some wild over the top option. And
people like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they want to spend that money sometimes. Hey, dude, look at and he's offering.
Sometimes they do.
It makes them they're not only super happy about it, but, it's what they wanted.
Right.
And they didn't know they wanted.
And these aren't unethical options either. These are like,
no.
Okay, you called me for a dripping faucet, but I can completely replace this faucet and the one next to it for this, right?
Yeah.
And you never know. That customer may have been like just itching. Like, I've hated these faucets ever since I lived here.
Or they had one in their, I'm not a plumber. They had the one replaced in their half bath, which is off of their kitchen, and they had it replaced black. And it drives them freaking crazy
that none of the other ones are the same
color.
the
one in the kitchen isn't black because they're right side by side.
Right.
You know, and they don't even know they want it, and then you tell them that, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
oh they want it
now it'll match it."
Right.
You know, and because they're just worried about getting it fixed, and then the next thing you know, you've made a great sale, and given the customer what they want, and everybody's happy.
Right. Great things happen when you offer several options to your customers. One of those great things is that the customer gets to maintain control of the service call and the buying decision. And they love not feeling pressured in the decision. One of the interesting things about customers is they hate being sold, but they love to buy.
And let's not pretend just for 2 seconds that we're not all customers.
Right.
When you listen to this or you're a salesman, you forget to think about, I'm also a customer.
Mm-hmm.
I buy things. I have people come to my house and fix shit.
Yeah, and you hate being sold.
Yeah, and you hate freaking being sold. So be a regular person.
Yep.
Take ownership of, I don't know the right word there, but don't, man, I'm lost all of a sudden.
Ultimately, as a customer, you don't like it when you have all this crazy sales pressure. You don't like a slick salesman coming in.
That's where I was going with that.
But you love being in control. This is why Amazon is so successful, is because people can buy things at their leisure and by their own choice.
Yes.
And so what you can learn from that is create an environment where you're giving them multiple options and letting them pick what works best for them.
Thank you, Mitch, for the bailout. I appreciate that. Lost my train of thought there for a second.
Offering options to customers usually results in the customers increasing your average sale for you. You don't even have to try. So when you're putting together your options for your customer, make sure to include a handsome top option, one that includes lots of work and an excellent warranty. And you'd be amazed how many customers will select that top option.
That long warranty, usually sells something.
Yeah. Customers who you would have thought would be stubborn or cheap are usually the ones that buy that crazy top option because they don't want to be inconvenienced by this problem ever again.
And it's not that they don't want to be if it does break down, they're usually okay with it as long as they don't have to write a check to get it fixed or replaced.
Right. That's where that warranty comes in.
Yes.
So we typically try to offer every customer 3 options, and the price and the amount of work and the warranty changes with all 3 of those. But this is a great way to find out where your customer's at in the scenario. The goal when we offer a customer 3 options is to make a sale. We don't care which option they pick. We're happy if they pick any of the options out there.
They're all a sale.
Right. So the other benefit of offering 3 options is it allows you to get 2 no's from a customer while still getting a yes. So they can say no to your top option and your middle option, and you still have room to get a yes from them for your bottom option. Or they can be like, no. You see that Mercedes in the garage? I don't do anything cheap. Give me the top option.
Yeah. And you know what? I shouldn't say a lot. 25% of customers are like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll surprise you too. It's virtually impossible to pick which ones are going to go where.
Oh man, it's insane. I've been to people's homes where I thought, and I'm not going to say poor, but when I go to the house, I think they're thrifty.
Right.
I know they're going to want to not spend a lot of money, and I give them a bunch of really basic options. And I've had them say to me, "Is that all you got?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, do you want to go high efficiency?"
Yeah.
Then it makes you look like a complete asshat.
Yeah. Then you're prejudging them.
And it's not. You are prejudging them.
Yep.
You're exactly right.
Yep.
And that's one of those things. And that's really the point of this episode is, if you do prejudge them, you should step back and say, "Hey, I can't do that again. From now on, I have to do A, B, and C, not A, B, B, C. Real small down here at this end. I've got to give them all to everybody equally."
The thing that you have to remember is customers don't want to be sold, but they love to buy. And so you got to create an environment where they have the option to buy at whatever level they're interested in. And if you do that, your conversion is going to be great and your average ticket's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
One of the other things to help ensure that you're getting a good 80% conversion is talk about your story, right? So we're 9 episodes into this, and if you've done all of the other things, especially episode 7 where we start talking about community involvement work.
My favorite episode.
My favorite too. You're going to learn that this all molds the story of why and how your business started. People love stories.
Especially when you're small.
Yeah. People love
small,
working with a small company.
And
And people love working with a company that they feel is actually making a difference.
Especially here in the Midwest where America is still America.
Right.
And people like to help each other out.
Even on the coast. I mean, you can go out to some of the coast and you're going to see people still want to deal with small companies that feel like they're making a bigger impact and a bigger difference. You work with some large national franchise company and you just get the feeling like you're helping the CEO buy a second lake house.
Yeah.
You work with a small company and you get the feeling like you're helping put that guy's kids through college and maybe you're helping him sponsor a little league baseball team and so on. So people want that.
And when you think of a small company, even if they have 30 employees, guess what? That's still a small company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
still
those
small.
guys, and every decision and every sale and everything that goes into that company is a big deal.
Yeah.
When you're that, and I say small, you're not a one-man show, but under 30, you're small.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure that you are giving your customers a reason to feel connected. Make sure to tell them the story of your company. It should be a story of how the company came to be and what the company does within the community and how your company is unlike any other. Your customers will never know how much they love you unless they know why they should. So your story should make them fall in love with your company. You're going to tell this story countless times, and you'll find yourself telling it the exact same way. You'll watch your customers have the same great reactions every time. You'll get to the point where you're adding employees, and now they'll need to know the story just as well as you do if you expect them to have the same success. The same story connects with your customers to your company and will also connect your employees to your company. So that your employees need to know the story with the same level of detail and passion that you do. They need to be able to tell the story to customers as well as you do. You're writing your story right now. And as you listen to this show and put your plan together, make sure your story is one worth telling. Last thing we're going to talk about, and this is your gut check moment.
What are we talking about, Mitch?
Do you have what it takes?
Where are we at? Okay, I got you.
So we've just spent 9 episodes. Most likely it's taken you several days to listen to this. This is well over 9 hours of content, reading and learning and listening to everything that it takes to start a durable in-home service business or service business of any kind.
And you know what? We're on 9. I'm on 5 at home.
Right.
You know
it's going to take you a while to read through all these listen through all these.
I've been listening to them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they get stronger, as we go along. So don't get discouraged.
Nope.
Keep listening. And if there are things you are not sure about, like, hey, in episode 3, it's only an hour.
Right. Listen to it again. Yeah.
Ain't heard it. Listen to it again.
Yep.
And suck that information out of there. And Mitch and I aren't, professional podcasters, and I know that, in a couple episodes, some things were glossed over, some things were run over too much. Just go back and listen again.
Yep.
And take those notes on things. These first 9 episodes are extremely important if you're serious about making it on your own.
Yeah. Is it more involved than you thought it might be?
Hell yeah, it
probably,
is.
Right?
Hell yeah.
If this were easy, everyone would do it. It sounds cliche, but it's cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
if you're soft, you're not gonna do it.
Right.
It's just how it is.
You're always going to hear these whimsical stories of a guy who started his company with no prep and somehow he became successful.
Yeah.
That's just one guy, right?
Yeah.
You're going to find these. The worst is the guy who gets mad at his boss one day and he says, screw this, I quit and I can do this better on my own, and he has no prep. Those guys usually, 99% of the time, don't make it.
Now listen, if you're one of those guys and you're feeling that, take a deep breath.
Tough it out. Put some prep in.
Get prepped in. And then once you're prepped and you're really ready to go, then go in there and give them the big finger.
Yeah.
You know? But have your prep done first.
Right.
And and listen, while you're doing that prep, we've talked about it 2 or 3 times, suck up as much information as you can.
Yeah.
Okay? Just keep that information coming in. Keep your prep going. Keep your eyes on the prize. I know it's so stupid to say that, but it's very important. And then when you want to go in there and give that guy the finger because he is a real boss hole,
right,
you'll be prepared to do that. I think that Marcus is thinking about doing it to Mitch. I'm not 100% sure, but
can't be reading my mind like
that.
Yeah.
I look in his eyes sometimes, and he's like,
he's still in motherfucker. He's in learning mode.
I'm not so sure, and we joke about it, but seriously, you have got to do the prep.
Right.
You have got to be ready. Don't walk away before you're ready, and it sucks, and it's gut wrenching, and you go home and you just hate everything about your day. If you're going to move on and do it on your own, not just go to another job, you got to stomach it for a short time. And
right.
You can do it, man. You got to have the fortitude to just to get through.
Right,
I mean,
right. Takes discipline. But if your business is to be successful, you're going to need that discipline.
Yeah, learn those lessons.
Yeah, business ownership isn't easy. It's a lot of work, and in the early years, it doesn't shut off. Now, it does get a lot better later, and especially the more prepared you are. The more prepared you are, the faster in the years does it get better. So are you ready to be consumed? Are you ready to embark on a journey that you'll never forget? Are you ready to get addicted to success and hitting your goals? If that's the case, let's giddy up. Let's make this thing happen.
And listen, I'm going to, and I've had a few self-realization moments doing this podcast. Was my company as successful as Mitch's when I started out? Fuck no, it wasn't.
Right.
Okay, and
right.
If I had done some more prep and some of the things that we've talked about, could it have been? Yeah, maybe. Okay, and we're not saying that you're going to be as successful as Mitch's company. We're not going to say
let's hope you're more successful than mine.
I hope to God they are.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm a realist.
Yep.
I think that everyone is going to be more successful than I was, and I was pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do these things, you will be. Don't think that you're going to be not successful. Don't think that you're going to make $1 million the first week.
Or the first year or the first 2 years.
Just keep thinking that if I do these things and I do these steps, I will be successful no matter what. And take hold of that and just keep moving forward.
Right.
Okay? When you jump in, don't think, I'm going to be Mitch. I'm going to be Dave. I'm going to be John over here at this. I'm going to be Steve. No. Fuck all of them.
Right.
Take this information and say, I'm going to be me.
Yep.
And I'm going to take this information and I'm going to freaking move on with it. And I'm going to take my vision and my dream and I'm going to be successful at it.
Yep. This is a process.
That is the point of this entire podcast.
Yeah,
you have to take control, change your mindset, and do something, I don't want to say spiritual, do something successful with it.
Yeah. You gotta
I feel like I'm pulpiting up here.
Yeah.
I mean, I am on the pulpit and I'm preaching, but that's not what I mean.
Yeah. You got to get yourself to be in an empowered position to take control of this. Because if you're not in control of it, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
So, guys, as promised, here at the end of episode 9, we are ready to finally give you guys the email address where you can email in questions.
Oh, my favorite part. I've been waiting for this for 9 freaking episodes.
It's getting to the fun part. So,
it's been eating my brain.
We do ask that you hold off on emailing in questions until you have at least listened to all of the first 9 episodes. Because what will undoubtedly happen is as you listen to episodes 1 through 6, you're going to generate questions that we're probably going to answer in episodes 7, 8, or 9.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But do yourself the favor to listen to those first 9 and then email in that question. So
and listen, don't think if you have listened through 1 through 9 and you think your question's stupid, it's not stupid.
Right.
Okay, we are not going to judge you. Send your freaking question in.
Yeah,
we're going to hash it. We've had, so Mitch posted on our Facebook, we had one question.
Yep.
And to be honest, I was super excited about it.
Just a day or two ago, I posted on our Facebook group, and at the time I had posted this on our Facebook group, we had only released episodes 1 through 6.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah.
But we were trying to just get a feeler out for what questions can be, and we've had one question so far, and it was an amazing question.
Great question, and we've sent some emails back to him. We want a few questions, and we're gonna answer it on the air.
Yep.
I say on the air. We're not live. We're gonna answer it.
So
if you send questions to us, we're gonna answer them.
Yeah.
Okay. We've said it 15 times. I want people to be successful.
Yep.
We aren't making any money off this.
Nope.
I want Marcus, our producer, to be successful.
Yep.
I've only known him for like a month.
Right.
I want Mitch to be successful. We've been friends for 40 years. I want everyone that listens to this to be successful. So send those freaking questions in, and we're going to answer them.
Yeah. Yeah, and we may answer them in email if they're a really good question. Then we're going to make a show about it. Yeah. So from this point forward, the show... evolves into bringing on guests that have also started their own company and talking about some of the adversities and some of the victories they had. But then the other half of this show is based around answering questions that we've received. So the email to send those questions into is going to be askmitch@mitchsmedley.com. And so we're going to spell that out for you. It's Ask Mitch, M-I-T-C-H.
Marcus, I'm messing up your whole day right here. I am messing.
I was going to tell you, I was going to put it on the video. So.
It's Ask Mitch,
okay.
M-I-T-C-H.
I don't mind. I'm an old guy, and I don't know that they can put that stuff at the bottom. But if Marcus wants to throw this on here, it's okay. Man,
They have these things now called computers where Marcus can digitally impose the email on the screen. But since most of our audience listens to this instead of watching it on YouTube,
Ask Mitch,
M-I-T-C-H, at mitchsmedley.com.
Yeah, I can't. So. I've told Mitch this for freaking 2 months now. I can't wait till the questions come in and we can literally guide people.
It's going to be really cool to watch people circle back with us and say, hey, I started my business 2 months ago and we're going like gangbusters.
Yeah, and listen, people, we have talked about maybe taking someone on in contests later, that have sent questions in that say, hey, we're going to drag them forward. Kind of
take them under our wing and help ensure that they get started off on the right success. Whether they want it
or not, we're going to drag you forward.
Yep.
And having, guests on that have completely different experiences than we've had.
Yep.
I think is going to be the greatest part of this show. So if you have been watching some of these, I feel like they've been getting better. And when people start coming on and sharing their stories, they're going to be more better is not the way.
More gooder.
That's not how it's going to be, but they are going to be.
Right.
And I'm extremely excited about it.
Yep.
I love what we're doing here. And like we've said 1,000 times, we're not making money.
Right.
We're just doing this
we're just doing this because it's our duty to society to help others succeed.
Yeah, we've put our time in. We've made money. We're sharing that wealth.
Right. So guys, remember as you're working through these episodes, if you like what you're hearing, please do us a favor and help share this show with anybody else that you know might need it. it can be pretty scary to watch somebody embark on self-employment without having some of this key advice. Most notably, you'll see people doing this on social media. They'll pose a question on a social media group saying, hey, I just started my company, and what are you guys doing to get the phone to ring? Or I'm thinking about starting my company, but what should I do for vehicles? Or there's a ton of questions out there revolving around people starting their own service-based company. So if you see that, please do us a favor and share a link to our show in those comments when people are asking those questions. Most of the people replying to those are very narrow-minded, and they're kind of sketchy because you don't have any way to vet the people that are replying to that. You don't even know if that guy owns his own company or if he's in his third week as that trade or whatever he's doing. So this show, obviously, we have a lot more accreditation with this show. We have a lot more experience, and we are here to help watch people succeed. So please do us a favor and help share the show. Remember also that we're on Spotify and YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Facebook. So we would really appreciate you guys helping us get this message out in front of anybody who needs it. So until next week, guys, have a great week, and we will see you later.
We love you guys.
See ya.
See ya.